Welcome to week 6 of the Cherry Blogs on Screen Drama. This week we are going to apply all the stuff we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks to a specific scene from a film.
When Harry Met Sally, Michael's going to direct it in the way that he thinks it should be done, and he'll show you what a professional director does with actors. Then we're going to get some of the directors down to do it the way they might feel they want to do it. So I'm hoping you want to have a look at the script and think about what you as directors might be, how you as directors might want to direct the piece. We'll do that for about an hour, then we'll split into the groups and we'll deal individually with all the different groups and the stage that they are in the whole process. Does that sound okay? Right.
Whilst Michael and Stuart set up the scene, we were sent off in groups for a sound workshop with Paul McGeechan, who's a music lecturer at UWS. We went down to the music studios and talked about post-production techniques like Foley, ADR, and just everything involved in sound once you've been in your shoot. Picking up where Louis Kramer left off 2 weeks ago when he was talking about mixing, recording, boom on the shoot. We don't have time to properly look into that this week because we mainly want to be talking about the directing a scene workshop that we did today, but we'll briefly peek over at that so that you can see what's going to be coming up next week when we talk about sound post-production.
And what about the other sound elements like ADR, Foley, footsteps? Do you know all those terms? Okay, well, one of the things we do in this, and I'll just play a tiny wee bit of it, what the students are doing in this, our students, they are doing the music, maybe not composing it because they're not all composers. We have business students, we have performers, we have songwriters. So if they're not composers, they may use Creative Commons licensed material. This is work that's put on a website, for example, Creative Commons website, that you can download for free and use for a non-profit making purpose.
And we'll hear more about post-production and Creative Commons next week.
Right, this is how I would direct a scene with these guys. It's not necessarily the best way to direct it, it's how I direct it, but I wanted to get used to the directors being courteous and yet getting what they want from actors. Okay? The first thing you do when you bring your actors to the set is you just give them a little context. Well, we know what the scene is. Has anybody not seen When Harry Met Sally? Okay, for those who haven't seen, Stuart, do you want to give a little synopsis of the film?
It's 10 years in the relationship between a man and a woman who become very good friends and then fatally become lovers, and then it's the fallout from that afterwards. So it's like five or six different sections of their life over 10 years.
Meg Ryan plays Sally, who's what you would call a WASP, a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant American woman, and she agrees to give her boyfriend's pal, Harry, played by Billy Crystal, a lift. But he's a complete, I don't know the right way to sum him up.
Why is it?
Yeah, the character is, he's much more laid back, he's very chilled out, she's quite uptight, and it's the stuff out. And the whole central point of this film is, can you be pals with a member of the opposite sex without wanting to have sex with them or sex getting in the way? And this scene that we picked today is the whole point of it. Alright. And I'm going to shoot the scene on an easy two-shot just because I am. Alright? It's less important this as much as anything else, but that's quite a nice shot. Just to do the frontal two-shot like this. Okay?
So here's our version of the scene. We did it 3 times, so I'm going to intercut between the first, the second, and the third time as we move through the scene.
You do realise we can't ever be friends.
What do you mean?
Well, this isn't a phone in any way, shape or form, but it's impossible for a man and a woman to be friends. The sex would just get in the way of that.
It's not true. I've got many friends. Sex never involved. Wait, you don't. Yes, I do.
Really?
Yes, I do. You're saying I'm having sex with these guys and you've got no memory of it? Something.
I'm saying all guys want to have sex with you.
They do know.
They do too.
No, they don't. How do you know?
Because a man can't be friends with a woman that he finds attractive.
Always wants to have sex with her.
So you're saying women and men can be friends when he finds her unattractive?
No. Because you pretty much want to have sex with them as well.
So what? They don't want to have sex with you?
Well, that doesn't matter. The sex thing's already out there. So the relationship's doomed from the start. So that's the end of that story.
Well, I guess we can't be friends then.
No, I guess not.
That's a shame. You don't know the person I knew, you know.
Okay, good. Round of applause, please. Thank
Because you'd want to have sex with them too.
So that's our scene. Harry and Sally exploring, can a woman and a man have a relationship? So now we'll have a look at what the directors have said. Michael and a few of the students directed this scene separately with all the different actors. So we'll have a look at the feedback, the talk, what the directors did now.
So what I'm doing is, first of all, giving a note, my kind of note I want to put on the scene, but a general one. I'm not going to get specific about lines straight away. It's a line run. It'd be pretty cruel of me to come in and go, that fourth line was terrible. A, it wasn't, and B, it was a line run. But now we're going on to rehearsal, and then these actors, if they haven't asked, I would tell them, you're on a two-shot, you see down to about your knees, okay? Remember, we're in a car, so I need you driving, okay? Thank you. Driving, not parking. Okay, so if they know the lines not on the set, but don't know the lines on the set, run the lines on the set so they get used to doing them in situ. Because often you'll say, yeah, I know the lines, come over here, let's have a line running. Oh, that's great, let's go. Action. Okay, so the thing to do is to take them on set, and you can ask the crew to go out and get a cup of tea if they really don't know the lines, but sit them in the front there, the lights. Because how did it feel, Mary Jo, when you were sat down there?
At first I couldn't see because
Yeah.
the light like threw me, and then I felt really uncomfortable because I couldn't work out. Because I think if I'd be driving, I know this sounds silly, but like because I've got really short legs and I couldn't get comfy, and then.
No,
that's
but this is a
amazing,
good
but-
point. This is a good point about an actor coming onto a set, not being happy with the props or the set with which they're supposed to act. What does that mean you're thinking about?
Thinking more about like
Being
how to drive down.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thinking about driving rather than acting. Do you know what I mean?
I felt it was really important that he relaxed, but I saw that other people had him a bit more upright, and it changed performances completely when he was relaxed or more upright. And that's really, I mean, a simple thing like adding the arm into him for him to lean against kind of changed because it is a lot more directed out the window.
He's got two cookies.
Ines said something really, really interesting there. She actually was finally getting into the place where she might be starting to think about acting. And I think that's really what you have to think of as production team. To have an hour on every scene like that is absolutely invaluable, so that the time you actually go on to do it, you've already prepared it all. And that's really what you should be doing. That level of depth or rehearsal. You'll get to your location, it's completely different. It's not like that at all. The car's not an automatic, it's not got a big red seat across the front or whatever. But the point is, you've done that rehearsal, you've prepared for it. And, you know, Dave Brent would probably say, fail to prepare and prepare to fail. But it's absolutely true. If you get the time to get together and really look at the lines and go through it. And it seems to me that the director's job is to try and get as much as possible out of the imagination of the actors and narrators as possible, and to maintain the tone. The tone has to be maintained because it has to cut from one to another. So, for instance, I would never have had the final line, Meg Ryan's line, delivered like that, because I don't think that's what it is at all. But if you're the person who's going to be responsible for editing this together and joining it together, you have to know what the tone of that is, so that the next time you cut to the next scene, you know that it's going to join up together and it's not going to be a bit silly.
See what you think about what Stuart said about the scene as we go back and watch the original scene from when Harry met Sally.
You realize, of course, that we could never be friends.
Why not?
What I'm saying is, and this is not a come on in any way, shape, or form, is that men and women can't be friends because the sex part always gets in the way.
That's not true. I have a number of men friends and there is no sex involved.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
No, you don't.
Yes, I
You
do.
only think you do.
You're saying I'm having sex with these men without my knowledge?
No, what I'm saying is they all want to have sex with you.
They do not.
Do too.
They do not.
Do too.
How do you know?
Because no man can be friends with a woman that he finds attractive. He always wants to have sex with her.
So you're saying that a man can be friends with a woman he finds unattractive?
No, you pretty much want to nail him too.
What if they don't want to have sex with you?
Doesn't matter, because the sex thing is already out there, so the friendship is ultimately doomed, and that is the end of the story.
Well, I guess we're not going to be friends then.
Guess not.
That's too bad. You were the only person that I knew in New York.
So that's a real scene. Now let's go and hear what Michael had to say about how the characters relate to each other in the scene and how you should think about casting.
That's his genuine opinion about life, and this is her response to it. And it's almost the beginning of a fracturing of a potential friendship. That last line for me is very sad. So whilst I know what you say, if it's on a wide shot and it's slapstick, by all means bring in Mr. Bean energy. But if you're doing comedy, that does not mean, in fact it means the opposite. Do not get funny-faced actors gurning. Seriously, don't do that. And I had a big argument with the guy who does Rhapsody Nesbitt about casting once for a part in Still Game, where he said, oh, you should get so-and-so, he's got a funny face. And I said, the point of Still Game is the lines are funny, we try and play it slightly real or hyper-real. We don't play it because someone looks like a clown. So, it's not, I'm not saying you're wrong, it's just you're wrong.
Something to be said about the acting here as well, and how the size of the shot affects the acting. If you could think of it as being a bit like soft focus, if you're that size, the performance that you're given should be a kind of a soft focus. You're trying it out that. Now the way that most television, certainly shot, is it will go wide, then they'll do a two shot, then they'll do a single, then they'll do an ECU, and when you get into that extra close up, it's not a matter, Ross used words, tone it down. That's fine, but that's not really what we're looking for as actors. It's not a matter of toning it down, it's more specific and more focused. And you've got to be aware of that, so you can play the bigger emotions wide, but as it gets lower, as it gets tighter and tighter into you, you're closer and closer into it, and the intensity has to grow. At the same time, the outward manifestation of that has to be smaller. Because if you're doing it bigger and bigger every time you do it, at the end of it, you're totally over the top. So it's almost a contradictory thing when you're going from the soft focus like this to the tight, but it's going to get more and more focused, more and more intense. And so that hopefully, if you're in a scene where you thought you might be crying at some point, the point to cry is when you're on your ECU and it's the final point and it's most intense you've felt. It might be intensely funny, might be intensely flirting, might be intensely tragic, but that's where the intensity's got to get more and more intense. Right? Does that make sense?
So today was great. Taking all the stuff we learned in the workshop previously and applying it to an individual scene, sort of taking that scene from something as well known as Harry Met Sally and saying, how would we do that? What's involved for the directors? What's involved for the actors? So it was a great experience. But this has ran on ridiculously long, so I'm going to leave it there. We'll be back next week talking about sound post-production and stuff. Bye-bye!
Well, I guess we're not going to be friends then.
Guess not.
That's too bad. You were the only person that I knew in New York.